about Charlie Kirk's murder and how horrible it was. And I mean, I know he was like a beloved figure, but I didn't agree with him on much politically, but I did really respect the way that he went out and said, "Look, this is what I think, and I'm willing to debate you on it, and come at me and willing to debate." I don't know if he ever had an open mind to be changed. Like, I always like to say I'm persuaded by a better argument. And I do think I am. I change positions almost daily. Some people might say I have no principles, but I can always be persuaded by someone else that comes with some new facts and new arguments. And so I really did respect the way like this college tour was like, prove me wrong. And that, the discussion that we're having about the reaction to his death is almost kind of in response to the fact that he was, people are against the fact that he was doing what he loved to do, which is to kind of spar with people and be in the, kind of arena of ideas.
So, I mean, I think that what this reflects, and no, I mean, I agreed with Charlie Kirk about some things. I didn't agree with him about other things. Uh, but what this reflects is the fact that there are fewer people like you and like me who are interested in hearing an argument, who know people who disagree with them, who respect people who disagree with them, and who recognize that there are other perspectives that are worthy of respect. And one of the things I like about Charlie Kirk in particular was that he had a lot of fanboys and a lot of fangirls when he went out and spoke. And I mean, he was a rare talent in that way, and he really did something for a 31-year-old guy to put together Turning Point in the way he did. I still remember about 5 or 6 years ago, one of my students said, "Oh, I have a friend I would love you to meet, this guy, Charlie Kirk." And I was like, "Who is that? What? No," but that he put this together and made such a huge success of it was a real mark of the fact that he had something. And so he would go. There would be a lot of people at these events who would agree with him, and a lot who came for the fight. And someone would stand up with, blue hair or pink hair or, pierced tongue or whatever it was, and they would start in, and people would start jeering. And he always turned around and said, "None of that. Treat these people with respect. Treat their argument with respect. You
I
don't
never,
need to do
yeah.
that. Let them speak." And we need more of that. We need.
It kind of reminds me of, remember when someone went up to John McCain at one of the campaign rallies and they said, "Obama is a Muslim." And he said, "No, actually, he's a peace-loving man. I just don't agree with him on politics."
Oh my God, that happened to me. I did I never tell you that story? I
No.
went down to a pro-Israel event in Palm Beach, and I was supposed to go with Brian. And Brian couldn't come. This is a mutual friend of ours
Brian
who's
Catullus?
Brian Catullus, who's I
Was
think
at
to the
the
left of
MEI.
to the left of both of us, and was then at the
Mhm.
Center for American Progress. And I said, "Listen, he suddenly wasn't able to come. Let me try and reflect what I think he would say in certain ways, and then tell you what my counter argument was." And oh my God, the Obama is a Muslim and, of a member of the Muslim Brotherhood and a secret plant stuff, that was unacceptable. And the fact that there were not people on my side that were willing to stand up to that, to me, was disgraceful. But the same is
And
true.
it's few and few more willing to kind of say about the other side, like,
But that's
I
exactly right. When you
we're
say Donald,
dehumanizing one another, right?
when one says Donald Trump is not Hitler, Donald Trump is not a fascist. Do not demean those words and the actions of people to whom you are comparing him by saying that. Like the fact that I can't find enough people on the left who want to play that role tells us just how unique Charlie Kirk was. And frankly, the reaction to his death has been beyond horrifying to me. Beyond horrifying. And there are people on the right that I want to talk about who I'm equally horrified by. But the number of people who think that it's okay to celebrate the
Mm.
murder of a 31-year-old
Of
guy
any of yeah, of anyone, of I mean,
for
that's what
for for
really
oh, for reasons of political disagreement.
yeah, for reasons of political disagreement. Like, I can understand you saying, "You know what? I didn't agree with him," or
I
say
want your thing.
nothing, or just fucking say nothing. I'm sorry, say nothing.
Yeah. No, listen, I mean, I think that's exactly right. And
And I have seen people kind of celebrating it, um,
oh,
and
lots.
and, I'd be curious how you feel about this movement for, like, really, I would say, I'm not gonna say, like, the executive branch or the congressional branch, institutionally, people calling for other people to call them out and get them fired. What do you think of that?
So this is an interesting question, and very and challenging. Okay, because there's a boiling fight on the left and the right about the First Amendment and about our right to free speech. And just to take this somewhere, forgive me, everybody, that I have my head leaning back. It helps my back. Um, everybody remembers when JD Vance went to Europe and he went to the Munich Security Conference and he gave this speech about the growing intolerance of European societies. I don't like JD Vance one bit. He was completely right. Right. There is nowhere in Europe where they have the equivalent of First Amendment rights. And even though a
Right.
lot of people believe that in the UK, they have these rights, in fact, in the UK, they not only don't, they are eroding even the more limited rights that they had. And what I have seen in the United States is, and I've been very grateful to people on the right for calling this out, is the attorney general saying, we're going to get you for this hate speech. We're going to get you for, for saying bad things about Charlie Kirk. We're going to get you for your hate-filled speech. And the answer is no. You have limits on your speech in America. And those limits are you cannot incite other people to violence.
Right.
But the idea that you can't say, "I'm glad
Right.
Charlie Kirk is dead," you can. Now, nobody has an
I pulled up
obligation
some of your posts on that. Yeah, because
no
I
nobody
mean,
has
look,
an obligation nobody has an obligation to employ you if you say that, okay?
right. And so,
And what
yeah, go
but
ahead.
important, right? Private companies do not have an obligation
No.
to employ you.
No.
If you get on TikTok, if you get on Instagram
Yeah,
and you
you should know
say
better. You should know these things last forever, and think
well,
about
it's not
your,
just that. Don't you have a mom? Don't you
no,
have a
I
mom who
understand.
told you?
Well, did you I have I ever told you about my idea for a reality show?
No.
Okay, I always get, like, a lot of crap on, social. And in fact, I got something today, like someone pulled up someone who subscribes to me, by the way. I'm curious whether he subscribes because he likes what I write or he just wants to troll me. I think it might be the latter. You know who you are. But he said something, he pulled up some old thing about my feud with about Rand Paul and something I talked to Philippe Reines about like 100 years ago about Hillary Clinton and you're a hack and you know what I mean, like you were conspiring on against government officials and you're a hack and no. Anyway, just to say I get my share. So, and I think some of it is warranted and it makes me think, as I said, and some of it is like, we have a hand gesture in New Jersey for some of that. So, um, my idea for a reality show is to go to the people that troll me online and go to their church and go to their home and go to their moms and go to their, whatever and say, "Hey, did you read what, Johnny said about so and so online?" And, see where the chips fall. And I feel like if are stupid enough to write something like that on social media, you deserve what you get. However, this is a little bit different. This is a campaign to hunt these people down. You're okay with it? I think it's
I'm okay with it, actually, yes, I am, because I
but
think that,
where's the line? Like, where's the
well,
line, what you said? I mean, look, we both agree, Karen Attiah of the Washington Post, said
yeah.
some vile things, and I feel like this was just the last shoe to drop. She said a lot of vile things and, finally getting axed by the Post, I'm okay with it. But
Right, don't let the door
some
hit you on
people
your
have
ass.
said things they shouldn't. I feel like nobody should be saying anything about anybody's death in a mocking way, in an anything way. I just think you should just have more, grace and dignity to just, if you don't have anything nice to say about someone who got murdered, don't say anything at all.
Okay, so let me give you my perspective on this. If you set yourself up, if you say stuff on social media, if you say stuff online, if you
Curious what you guys think. Weigh in the comments.
if you take what should be, I've read a bunch of really good stuff on this in the last week. If you take what should be your inner thoughts, right? Because we all have ugly inner thoughts.
Inside
All of
voice,
us.
right?
The best among us have ugly thoughts. If
We
you
all
take
do, people.
right, if you take your inner thoughts and you share them publicly, then you deserve whatever happens. And if people want to use an algorithm and hunt you down and give it to your employer, that is what you have set yourself up for. What is the line that cannot be crossed? And I've been thinking about this a great deal today because of Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
So, what is the line? The line is when the government uses its power to punish you for free speech. Now, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? The same thing happened to Jimmy Kimmel that happened to Stephen Colbert, which is that increasingly to a lot of their population, they weren't very funny anymore.
Right.
They were political trolls, and so the number of stations that wanted to carry them diminished dramatically. That's what happened to Colbert. Colbert wasn't politically canceled. Colbert was economically canceled because he sucked. My view. Jimmy Kimmel. Um, if Sinclair, which owns a lot of ABC and another couple
Well,
of
first it
holding
was
companies,
Next Star, then it was Sinclair.
Nexstar, then Sinclair, they don't want to run him. That's their
Don't
choice.
run them.
Don't run him. Don't do it. If your public doesn't like it, they're going to make you pay. They are either private or public held companies, but they are shouldn't be forced to carry broadcasting. Where we step over the line is in what Ronald Reagan. I just saw a beautiful speech by Ronald Reagan that reminded me of this. What is the purpose of our Constitution? The purpose of our Constitution is not to protect the government from the people. It is to protect the people from the government. And when you want to use the tools of the government to punish people for what is free speech, that is where you go too far. And the thing that I think that a lot of people on the right were very gleeful, including the president himself, about Jimmy Kimmel. And me too. I can't stand the guy. I was
I don't watch
totally
him.
right. None of it exactly. But that's our choice. It's not a choice that the FCC should be making. And, this is something that Republicans were protesting when people were being punished uh, for not wanting to, make a birthday cake for a gay marriage. This was something these kinds of rights of expression were very important to Republicans when it was their issues. And
Right.
then suddenly, when the shoe was on the other foot, they didn't give a damn. And that's the kind of hypocrisy that we need both of us, all of us, to stand up against. So 100%. That is the bright line for me.
Right. And so just to remind everybody, and shameless self promotion, have
Please
a
do.
piece out this morning. I called it Late Night with Viktor Orban. Why? Because what Carr did when he threatened the licenses, and you saw what Trump said today with Starmer in the UK, or he either said it at a post or he said it with Starmer. He said, "Yeah, these. I just read that I get 97% bad publicity from the networks. Maybe we should pull their licenses." And so what he's doing is he's trying to say that bad speak criticism about him is hate speech. We should take away your license. Who knows about whether there'll be, it's a little bit of McCarthyism. It is. And
That's not what McCarthyism is. It's the wrong word, but I agree with you. It's inappropriate for
well,
government,
I'm
and it's
using it in
not.
the way that you think that you can explain the right term, but I think people know what I'm talking about. The lavender scare, whatever. It's about the red scare. It's about people being hunted down by the government for what they're saying and being punished economically. Corporations, we saw it with we're seeing it with all these lawsuits. We're seeing it with media organizations. Look, I don't necessarily agree with the stories that are being printed or what people are saying, but these defamation lawsuits, because there's hate speech, because they're criticizing the president. First of all, I'm sorry, but what Trump also said was that, oh, I finally got rid of something along the lines of, finally they got rid of Kimmel, just like they got rid of Colbert, and now it's time to get rid of Fallon. Let's go. And you saw what he said to John Carl the other day when John Carl asked about Pam Bondi going after a hate speech. Trump said to him, maybe they'll go after you. They already paid me $15 million, and you treat me terribly, so maybe you're next. This is what Viktor Orban did in Hungary, which is he went after the media in a systematic campaign to use government regulation and media laws to kind of shape the media in his image, and a lot of censorship to the point where Hungarian media is, a lot of it is a tool of propaganda. And
Okay, well, we cannot say that media in America is a tool of propaganda of anything but the left for the most
I
part.
understand. No,
So,
I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is, it would be great if someone could help put it towards the middle. But, what he's doing is not, you know what I mean? Like, and also,
Elise, I
let me
guess,
just say one
go
last
ahead.
thing. How thin skinned do you need to be to think that, to like, not just be like, I'm the president of the free world. And you know what? I really don't care what Jimmy Kimmel says about me. I really don't care what Stephen Colbert says about me. I'm busy negotiating peace, passing legislation, doing all these things. What? What the hell? Why does this care? Why does he care so much? I mean, look, if you get parodied on Saturday Night Live, you've arrived. You know,
So
you and I would be parodied on CNN. Maybe they'll do a hot take happy hour skit.
so I agree with you completely about
Mark
Trump being
Kimmett. Mark Kimmett. Mark Kimmett joined. I just
Hi,
saw your
Mark.
brother the other day.
So I agree with you completely that Donald Trump is thin-skinned. I don't think that's much of a news flash. I hate to say, he's thin-skinned. I think he would and likes and wants to use the tools of government to intimidate his
Well,
political
that's what
rivals.
Orban did. He kind of used the tools of government to strengthen his role on power.
Right. But I will say, hey, idle curiosity, you love us. Um,
You watch every week, Mark
anyway,
Kimmett. We're glad to have you.
but I think it's important that we come back to this.
Yep.
I was happy to see that a lot of people on the right, National Review, The Wall Street Journal, Matt Walsh, who I don't agree with about most things, but people who have millions of followers, absolutely ripped Pam Bondi to shreds for what she said. What are you talking about? This is not our country. And she walked it back, but this is the problem with this administration, of course. Their audience is not the United States of America. Their audience is the president. And this is something that we know all too well. That being said, again, we are not slipping towards being Hungary. We are a long way from being Hungary. We are a long way from Orbanism, and this problem of censorship is one that's been growing for a long time. What is the right response to it? The right response is not I can get Jimmy Kimmel off the air. The right response is, I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel and Sinclair and others take him off the
Yeah,
air.
yeah.
What is the right
Vote with
response?
your pocketbook. Vote with your remote.
Vote with your remote. The right
Vote with
response,
your remote.
but the right response is to be as angry about it on the left as they are on the right.
Yeah,
And
I
this is
did.
what we don't
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
This is what we don't see.
I will say I did see some people, in the wake of Kimmel's, of this happening last night. I saw some reasonable voices saying, "Look, he never should have said that. It was crude. It was ill-timed. It was insensitive. It was just bad judgment." And, even I didn't even know about it because I don't watch.
But me
And I
neither.
don't watch any articles, like, I don't read any articles about him. I'm a Jimmy Fallon fan. I really do like Jimmy Fallon. I feel like he's an equal opportunity offender. He made plenty of fun at Biden and still does. I think he's funny and, it's lighthearted before I go to sleep, and he's does skits and everything. I like it. But, you know, I just think it was in such poor taste that there should have been a boycott about that. But, um I do find that people are agreeing like he shouldn't have done it. Now, if he apologizes, is this going to change anything?
Probably. Probably it is.
And let's ask about again, you know, joking about someone's death is not funny
Vulgar and poor
and
taste.
vulgar and poor taste, wrong, whatever. But,
But
comedian
certainly legally permissible.
legally commissible, and comedians say, listen, some people are going to find these kind of jokes funny and some people aren't, and this is what comedy is. And you know
Look, I mean, you're right. The late night has basically become, somebody commented earlier, late night's become mostly political, and I think that's right. Late night has become mostly political. It's not funny anymore for the most part. But again, that's not the right remedy. But I want to talk again about this inability to, just to come back to Charlie Kirk, on the part of the American public to view the humanity of the people we disagree with. This is a road to real social
Yep,
unrest.
yep.
This
We've
is a
been
road.
talking about this since it happened.
Right. So, the idea that the right way to solve your political problems, you can say Donald Trump wants to arrogate too much power to the government in his own defense, and I think that we will agree with that. What you can't say is that he wants people to shoot people who disagree with him.
Right, right.
This view that is held by some, that he who disagrees with me should die, or that people who disagree with me want me to die, which is something
or
I see a
or
lot.
or that people that disagree with me are bad people. Like let's take it down to the fundamental level of, like, whatever happened to, there are different cars for different people, different cookies for different. I mean,
Well, I will tell
why
you
are we
one
not
part of that.
allowed to have different opinions? When did society, and listen, I wrote this piece and I got a lot of crap for you know, kind of both sidesism, which I think I could be more blamed about both sidesism than about whataboutism, which I hate. Um, because I do think any of these political stories that are going on, both sides should be ashamed of themselves. And the story was about radicalization and how there are these pathways to radicalization online. We're talking about the shooter. And I'm sorry, I got so much crap because people said, oh, well, it's all on the right, or it's mostly on the right. And, you got to call a spade a spade. And I'm sorry, if you don't think that there's just radicalization online across the board and your kids are vulnerable to it, just go bury your head back in the sand. I'm not going to itemize how many on the right, how many on the left. There are statistics that say that both sides are finding can I be upset that people didn't make a bigger deal about this Minnesota couple that was shot, Minnesota Democratic couple that was shot? Yes. Were there people that were making fun of when Donald Trump got assassinated and wishing he would die? In fact, you don't wish he would die because JD Vance is a whole lot worse. Um, yes. It's just all disgusting and all sick.
Right.
And
So where's the national leadership?
yeah,
Where is the guy? Where's the Johnny Carson? Where's the guy who comes out and speaks to the nation and shows that leadership and says, this is not how we talk about our fellow Americans. This
do
is
you
not.
do you see anybody that could emerge as someone like that?
No, and I will tell you, just, look, where did this start? Look, for me as a conservative, I think I obviously, what I think. I think this started on the left, where we are no longer allowed to. You not only do I have to be able to say that I'm a man, even though I'm a woman, you have to say that I'm a man. You may not misgender me. You may not, and I will get you fired if you did.
I think it goes way
But
beyond all
it's
this.
but these are all
It goes back
symptoms.
way, I think it goes back way longer.
Yeah,
Um,
before
and
trans people, yes, it does.
I think it goes back. I think, and let me just say one thing about this woke. Okay. Woke is not just a lefty term, darling. Woke is about either side that is like this political correctness. It's not, woke is just not on the left. Right now, woke is on the right. And this whole thing about, people, you talk about policing people's free speech. And in the beginning of this, you know, um, session, you talked about how, free speech is free speech. Right now, there's a lot of people on the right that are a little bit too woke for me.
I agree with that completely, and I think that it is a growing problem. This is when in Donald Trump's first term, one of the things that I said, and I believe this to be true still today. One of the things that I said is the victory of Donald Trump is that he has turned the other side into himself, right?
Yes, we've said that. If you're going to be, it makes you double down on who you are, is what I think. If you're
But
some upstanding like person that like sticks to principle, you're going to stay that way, but it's going to make you your worst version of yourself if you're inclined
right.
to be that way.
Right. And I think that the woke argument that you make is exactly right. The victory of the left is that rather than fighting this doctrinal bullying, rather than talking about the fact that I don't care who you want to call yourself, whatever you want to call yourself, you just can't make me do it. We have now instead decided that that's the right way to be on the right as well, right? Which is that
In
not only
overcorrection, you're saying.
right. So, but this is the problem. This is what I said. Just before I did my back on Meet the Press, which is that this is now the way of government. This is what we see: is that we see excess on one side, uh, excess on one side that has pushed in the other direction, so that we always see this overcorrection, so that we always see these extremes. And there is absolutely no identifiable push to the center that we see. And that one of the things that you and I started with today was that what we liked about Charlie Kirk was the idea that he believed that there was a discussion to be had. He may not have wanted to change his mind, but he respected the idea that there could be people of different views. I can think you're wrong, but you still deserve my respect. And that has evanesced, and I see no movement in the other direction. And I see no leadership from Congress, no leadership
It's shameful.
from either party, no leadership from the media. Right, even though the media remains, there are bastions that remain respectful. I see no leadership on this, and I would watch I would watch a genuine point counterpoint. I'm so sick of watching one side on one network and another
Right.
side on
Well, I'm
another
gonna
network.
give a shout out to my former boss, Sam Feist, who is running C-SPAN now and has a new show coming out in the fall with Dasha Burns of Politico, called Ceasefire. And you guys, some of our older friends may remember Crossfire, which was about two sides, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's was part of the problem at the time. Um, but now this is Ceasefire, and it's about trying to find common ground. And I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great
So
idea. I hope it works out.
yeah,
Too often, I know as a conservative on TV, too often I feel like a token. I hope that this is a balanced fight,
I think that's right. I think except on Fox where there's one token lefty person.
right? I'm never
I
on
think a lot
Fox.
of them I think a lot of the media, well, you're not that's funny. You're not MAGA enough for Fox, I guess.
No, I also have a
Um
contract with NBC
Oh,
News.
that's true. Um, but I do think, there's just an effort to kind of put everybody on and then one person anyway, Scott Jennings is enough right for like five people on CNN.
Yeah, but
So
that's what people say. That's obnoxious, right? He's one person. Can we just
I would
end
like
this
to
way?
see, okay, I would like to see though, on the left, I would like to see a wider variety of people. I'd like to see some center left people. On the right, I'd like to see some center right people. Like, it doesn't have to be right and left. Like, if this is the spectrum, I'd like to see people along the spectrum.
Right. But if we can say one thing as we say goodbye, because we've been
Yep.
talking about this the whole episode, and we will be back more
We'll
regularly.
be back more regularly. And next week is the UN. So there'll be plenty to talk about.
There will be. And this is on me, folks. I'm very sorry. But one thing, if I can say to all of you, I really appreciate, not everybody watches us live, but a lot of people watch us afterwards in the peace of their own homes. And, you know, take a moment and think about the fact that, you know, people who you disagree with make a valid point. I got in an argument last night. I was very tired with my daughter about Jimmy Kimmel, and I didn't want to listen anymore. She gave me a headache, and she was right. I
What'd
thought
she
about
say?
She said she thought that they went too far and that the idea of using the FCC was wrong. And I said she was right. What she said to me was right. Take a step back. You are allowed to hold your views. You are allowed to believe passionately in what you believe, and you are allowed to hold tight to your principles. But the idea that you should sometimes just take a minute and step back and say to yourself, somebody on the other side sees it differently. Is there anything I can hear in their arguments that that makes sense to me? All of us should be taking a few minutes in our time, in our days, in our weeks, and sparing a thought for the people who disagree with us, because it makes you smarter. It makes
It
you
does.
better. It makes you more persuasive, and it makes you a better American, a better participant in our political life, a better small d Democrat. This is how Elise and I live. Model yourselves on
Daily.
us is what I'm trying to say.
Daily. We live this out loud. We live it daily. And when we can't agree, and a lot of the times we don't. I mean, I
Yes.
always look. I make points to her. She make points to me. Sometimes we are like, all right, that's a fair point. I feel like I say that more than you say that. But anyway, we never close it being like, oh, Danny's a bitch, or at least, I mean, I don't know for you, but what I'm
Speak for
saying is
yourself.
there's still respect. There's still respect for the other. It
Uh,
can't be us and them. It just has to be us against the problem. And even if you can't find common ground, we don't have to dehumanize people because they don't agree with us, is I think is what the point you're making.
Amen. Unga, next week, there'll be lots of fun to talk about. Donald Trump addresses the United Nations on Tuesday. It's going to be a lot of Israel stuff, a lot of Iran stuff, a lot of fun stuff. So we look forward to seeing everybody, and I'll be back on the Substack as well, which I've been away from a while. So thank you. Go read Elisa's piece on Orban, and see y'all next week. Take
Bye.
care. See you soon, Elise. Bye.
Bye.